Hello everyone and welcome back to the Florida Relocation Guide YouTube channel. I'm your host Adam Hancock once again. And today we're talking new construction for 25, but the entire Tampa Bay, Florida area. I thought it would be useful if you could go to one list and be pretty dangerous as an out-of-state potential relocation buyer to all of Southwest Florida. Because the best way to know that you've made the right choice, I think, is to know more information. It's a juxtaposition conversation. And if you choose Sarasota, you might have wanted to know what was also in Naples. And 400 to 500 plus new construction developments actively building at any time within Southwest Florida can be convoluted to say the least. If you look at the right handful, I think, and use them as a talking head, you can have a hyper learning experience when it comes to price amenity trade-off, builder rankings, value of geographies versus each other within and out of their own metro and Southwest Florida and the state, really. I think it sounds too simplified, but I think that's a great way to go through the journey. And that's what this list is meant to do. So I have 4 within the Sarasota, Florida metro. I have 3 within Tampa Bay, 3 within Naples, Fort Myers greater, that let you a great representation of the builders, the geographies. I try to explain why they matter, the geography a little bit more than the location, the homes and the amenities of each. So I really hope you enjoy this year's take. If you do, please consider subscribing to the channel. I also have 2 really quick items for you that I'll say. I have a 30-day email where I send 1 email every 30 days. The only thing I handwrite. It's a really nice bullet point manifesto of real-time 30-day cycle stuff like incentives, new releases, stuff that wouldn't matter on an evergreen video like this that someone might see 6 months from now. Second thing is we just released the 2025 Sarasota, Florida Relocation Guide. It's a flip book. It's really nice. You just put in your information, you get an email right to you, and it's a favorites list. So neighborhoods, things to do, places to eat, places to stay, places to visit from myself and my team. So check out both of those. Without further ado, let's hop in. Okay, we're gonna kick things off the Sarasota area with 4 communities. Number 1 on that list is Beachwalk by Manasota Key. Why does this one matter? To me, this is a location/lifestyle play. First off, you're 2.5 miles one way to Manasota Key Beach. There's actually a golf cart friendly path that takes you directly to the sand, which puts you in the unicorn of unicorn categories. The only one even remotely close to this proximity, I believe, in all of Southwest Florida that would be a similar type of community. Second thing I like is that it's uniquely positioned just to the south of 2 main items: historic downtown Venice Island and the brand new Wellen Park, one of the fastest growing developments in the whole state right now. The historic downtown gives you that coastal stereotypical beach village and 3 additional beaches: Venice, Casperson, and Brohard. The brand new development you get all the new stuff, and they just built a new downtown, so it gives you less of a reason to run into Sarasota, almost the best of the old and the best of the new. Next is location. So Beachwalk's actually located in a town called Englewood. Englewood is one of 4 of the cities within Sarasota County. The thing here is that it's the junior. You have Sarasota, where everybody tried to get to, then you have Venice, which is junior Sarasota, so go a little further, get more, cheaper, and then Englewood's the southernmost coastal city in the entire county. So the big thing here is not only will it be a little bit more docile and less people if you're seeking that, but also it's under the radar. This one came out 2-3 years ago. It was ahead of its time. Wellen Park and the master plan caught up with it. So a lot of people are got tugged down and they're more open and accepting to it now. But Beachwalk still sits over here, no CDD, not part of Wellen Park technically. So I think a lot of people still misunderstand where its value exists today because they're still thinking about it being too expensive and too far for 36 months ago. So that's where I think location comes into play here. If you can lean into what other people may deem a negative, you could really win, I think, in 2025. Next are the homes and floor plans. So this is 100% built by a company called DeValsta. DeValsta is owned by Pulte, which is the parent company, and this is the resort style amenity rich brand. You're gonna have 16 different floor plans, so it's really something for kind of everyone in perspective, across 4 home collections. So you have paired villas and 3 single families. The paired villas are gonna be your cheapest price point. They start in the mid 3s. And they're the closest thing you can do to a single family. It's 2 single family homes attached in essence. So there's goods in the price and the size, and there's some cons if you want the detached single family. The single families are going to give you 3 different widths. So this will vary how open the house feels, the price point, if the bedrooms stack or if they spread, things like that. And they're going to give you a price point of about 400K base to about $1 million. So what you want to do to be safe, in my opinion, is you want to add about 15 to 18% on top of the base price you see on a website without a pool. And that would be a good estimate where I've seen most people end up by adding, when they add the lot premium, which you can't avoid, which is where the lot's based in the neighborhood, etc. They add the structural upgrades, which are things that affect the permit, adding a bedroom, extended patios, things like that. And then they add design, which affects like the aesthetic, quartz white counters instead of granite, LVP or engineer hardwood instead of 18 by 18 tile. But that would be a safe estimate to add of where you'd probably end up contractually. But the homes here are very nice variety and array. And the last thing I wanted to mention, the amenities. The real important thing to pull out here is that you're going to have amenities that would be typically like in real clubhouse friendly communities, like golf course communities and 55 and up age restricted communities. But if you don't value that and you don't want to pay the premium or be kind of pigeonholed into those areas, this gives you some of the extras that aren't seen elsewhere. First off, I mentioned no CDD. That's not nothing. $2 to $4 grand at least additional on your taxes for development. This one does not include. It's natural gas. It's going to include not only resort style pool, but it's saltwater. I'm just going to pull out the important stuff here. You're going to have a restaurant, bar, and grill with indoor outdoor seating. That's one of those extras I mentioned. 6 bocce ball, 10 pickleball, 5 tennis. Dog park, that's probably the main item. So you got all the normal stuff, but some of the restaurants and that kind of thing are not average community amenities. So it gives you really, when you come home, you have everything, and within 10 to 12 minutes, you have kind of everything else. So interesting overall. All right, community number 2, another one in Sarasota is called Webb Catalina. Why I like this one right now for 2025 is a couple fold, but one of those being that I think this just really fills a void when it comes to the combination of new construction and active adult living. A lot of the stuff that people really were into a couple of years ago, Webb Lakewood Ranch, Crestwind by Coulter Homes, Webb Bayview out in Parrish, they're at their ending phases or they're completely sold out. So if you were not ready yet, it wasn't your timeline and you missed out, or you just tried to get in there and you had to fight with the 2020, 2021 kind of bidding war craze that was insane within this area, you get another shot. And this time you have predecessors that basically show you what they could possibly be, of just true turnkey resort style living. And it's just slim pickings at the moment. And this one I think fills that gap. Locationally, this is another one sitting in that master plan community of Lakewood Ranch, Florida. So you get all the benefits that come with the number one kind of communal amenity environment place. You're 7 to 8 miles from downtown Lakewood Ranch, 7 to 8 miles from the new Waterside Place, which is like a proper suburban downtown. You're 17 miles one way to downtown Sarasota. And when you come home, you get all that this Pleasantville has to offer. However, it is built in the new eastern expansion piece of Lakewood Ranch. This is a big kind of area that's become its own city. So once you get inside there, even within its own map, it's overwhelming. And if you get to some of the newer built areas, it's very hard for people to understand why I'd go here if I could go here. So because of that, I think it's still a little underrated. It's selling well, but I think a little slow for what it's going to be until the rest of the communities are built around it. So there could be an equity first phase advantage if you can see the vision there, if it makes sense for you. Also, this one kind of sneaks not only east, but it sneaks southeast, which is going to go into the top of central Sarasota, which is another just completely, an area that's going to be completely different in a couple of years. You have an area called High Hat Ranch, 3H Ranch, that's built in the around that Sky Ranch area. So you're going to have a huge master plan, 4,000 or 5,000, 14 unit, 14 neighborhood district, probably in less than 5 to 10 years. That is going to add to the mix in this area as well. So you're going to kind of get the best of your own suburb, bleed into this, and also be like 35 minutes one way from Venice and Wellen Park as well. So I think, again, this is a foresight kind of situation. All right, now when it comes to the homes, you're going to have another Pulte brand here. So I mentioned DeValsta, that's Pulte. Webb is also Pulte. They're just kind of peacocking their different positioning brands. And because of that, you're going to see a ton of commonalities. That's again, the real benefit of new construction is once you know it, you don't know it all, but you know a lot. And now you can start shopping communities more holistically of what might be ideal for you. If you know once you walk in there, you could figure it out and you're not as stressed about navigating the 50 million models that you could choose, because it doesn't really matter if you kind of understand the whole picture, if that makes sense. So with that being said, 1,300 homes, 4 home collections again, villa, 3 single families, same kind of deal, starting in the mid 350s, 360s, all the way to $1 million as a base price. Add that 15, 18, 20%. You're doing a pool, add a little bit more on top of that. One of the interesting things about what they did here that I haven't seen a ton is they've done these grand models, which basically take a floor plan and kind of add like a second story to it and these kind of things. But they have like an interesting multi-generational aspect to it, I think, which also fits this part of Lakewood Ranch. So you get some of these models where you could say like, all right, active adult. What about an active adult home would make me downsize from wherever you're at in like Boston or Washington, D.C. or New Jersey or whatever and come down here and build a 2-story, 4 to 5 bedroom home. Well, what if your kids move down and haven't kind of found their own place yet within like Lorraine Lakes or, Sweetwater or something like that? What if a mother-in-law, parent-in-law, that kind of situation, grandkids, these kind of things. They have some interesting models here that I haven't seen a lot, like the Stellar, which is a very popular single family home that's on their biggest collection. They have a Stellar Grand that basically just adds to it. It gives you the 3-car garage, things like that. So I just wanted to pull that out, but not all that different than the way that the Beachwalk community was set up as well. So it just gives you a different vibe and different area. Okay, and lastly is amenities. So what you're gonna have here, the cool thing about the new of any community is that you get just the best, most innovative version of what they've been. So if you loved, a lot of people like Del Webb Bayview, this community that was right above Lakewood Ranch in Parrish, that was a cheaper version of Del Webb Lakewood Ranch, the amenity-wise, and this is just basically taking that and putting it on steroids. So you're just gonna get a little bit more and you're gonna get a little bit different. So one of the really cool things here before I kind of rattle them off is that they're gonna start with amenities on day one. A lot of communities will take 2 to 3 years before the real resort style stuff's built. And the first phase people might get an equity advantage, but they're kind of like chilling with no neighbors, new construction, and no amenities, potentially paying an HOA that entire time. This one's going to start with a level of amenities day one and then add the rest at a certain point. So it's going to be a phase thing, which I think is a cool idea. Again, 1,300 homes, 3 pickleball courts ready on day one, which is great. Putting green, event lawn. Again, the real bougie stuff is going to come late 2026. You're going to have a 70-acre lake that's going to add to the way the pool overlooks it, the way the rear of the homes overlook it in the clubhouse, which is cool. This is another one, a real benefit of the 55 and up is you get that restaurant thing. So you get a Blue Harbor grill with an on-site restaurant and bar. So you have like basically like almost like swim-up service borderline at your pool. 35,000 square foot clubhouse, of course, fitness room, spa, all these kind of things. Golf simulator, classic arcade. I believe you're going to have a pro shop for pickleball and tennis, which Bayview does not have. 5 tennis courts, 4 bocce ball, 12 pickleballs in totality, 8 covered within that pickleball facility. And the community is about 735 acres with 200 acres of lakes and 100 acres of preserve. So awesome. And this is what the real suburbs, non-beachside would provide you. And that's number 2. All right, number 3 on the list, we're talking about a community called Palm Grove. So I'm going to continue to beat this Lakewood Ranch, Florida drum for a minute. And where I see this one mattering right now is what I would say is like the next generation of new construction, family-centric neighborhoods. A master plan development like this is very large, but it's very new too. So you have from 1995 till now is basically, it's built out. The oldest house in there is built in 1995. But because you're over that 20-year mark, albeit all relatively new, you have several generations and phases of people, raising families, moving out, becoming empty nesters, different retirees coming in at different times, communities aging and turning over 3, 4, 5 times at this point. So the predictability of someone new moving down with like 2, 3 kids, it's a little harder to gauge. Like, everybody's kind of, demographics are tricky, right? You can't, for a lot of reasons, you can't get into these things because it creates bad things a lot of times. But, when people are trying to move down with families, like they're trying to be around other families a lot of times, or at least where people are hanging out, or like-minded, similar aged people, both them and their kids. And it's a little harder to guess because of the age. So what basically happened is, the first couple of communities built, Summerfield and Greenbrook was like 95 to like 2005-ish. A lot of people hung there in the middle. And then, the next went north, and people went to Central Park, went to Mallory Park was a real popular one, and then those kind of sold out. Then they moved over to the next north spot, which was east, and Lorraine Lakes won a lot of that, a little bit of Sapphire Point. A new community popped up called Sweetwater, another one popped up called Star Farms, but Lorraine Lakes was like the real main player there. Had a bus loop, super kid-friendly amenities, all this kind of thing, a lot of affordability. And then pops up Palm Grove in that same area. So it's this northeastern play where a lot of like the good school districts are. A lot of the amenities like where kids play flag football and soccer shots and all these kind of things are up right on that line of like State Road 70 to State Road 64. If the closest area of Lakewood Ranch to downtown Sarasota is like 10, 11 miles on the Sarasota County line, then if you get a little bit further, you get to the 21 miles or so. It was deemed as like a little bit of a negative to come to town. So because of that, it created a lot of affordability. And, and one of the reasons that I really like Palm Grove, on top of not only it's new, and I would think that families would be a good fit there, is that it's perspective affordability, but for the sizes that families need, floor plan wise. Sarasota is a place of like median age at an empty nester land. So you have 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,200 square feet, works really great for a lot of people that don't need the space anymore, don't need a basement, don't have coats and any of that kind of stuff that you don't even think of. 2 people, so 22, even 3,100 square feet. But if you have 2-3 kids, the playroom loft, the en-suites and multiple bedrooms, like God forbid you have a mother-in-law or something as well. Those are rare in the 4 to 5 bedroom mix. So because of that, they're either weird, like they're like an odd property, not in the master plan suburbs, or they're crazy expensive because it's like a premium thing. This allows you to have like stuff that's like maybe narrower lots that are 2 stories, more like you'd see in Texas a lot of times, or even like parts of North Tampa or something, where in the mid 500 to 600 price range, you have a lot of different options, not 1 or 2 weird ones. So I'm going to walk through that in a minute, but those are 2 of the reasons that I think this one's really interesting in 2025. All right, locationally, I basically already kind of dwarfed it and cannibalized a little bit in the last section, but again, just to reiterate, you're in Lakewood Ranch, the #1 multi-generational master plan community, but you're in that upper east quadrant, right on the line of 64, so it's still technically Lakewood Ranch, but you're crossing a little bit into the parish land. When it comes to homes, this is a Neal community, 100% Neal builder. I would say Neal is in the competitive land with like a lot of Pulte's products. It just depends on the location, style, and a lot of the maybe David Weekley, Taylor Morrison kind of stuff. So if you're shopping any of those, this usually comes up. They build a lot in the area. They built Windward down in Lakewood, Indigo in Lakewood Ranch, Grand Park in Sarasota, Grand Palm in Venice, Wisteria in Venice, Avelina. Here you're going to have 5 total home collections, and basically almost everything that they offer across the board except for 1 main series, all in this one community. And price point's really interesting, like I mentioned. So first, they have 2 non-single family collections. They both have townhomes and villas. I haven't seen a lot of townhomes when it comes to Neal, but it's just different, right? Villas, again, it's just 2 attached. Townhomes are multiple in a building of 4 to 8 or whatever it may be. So you have interior and exterior units. A lot of times townhomes give you a pretty good size for the price. That's the thing, because they use air. It's a little cheaper, that second story versus the wide singles. So, and everything in here has a garage, which is nice. You don't have any stuff, you don't have anything that's like attached or anything like that. Townhomes start at just $320 as a base price, which is nice, and they go up to 1,800 square feet and have a single car garage. So interesting there. There's 2 different floor plans there. They have villas in here as well. I've talked about the villas a lot in the past, but villas are a little bit of a premium. They start at right around $400K, 1,600 square feet to 1,900 square feet, 2 bedrooms to 3, and villas are always going to be a 1-story, but the villa gives you a 2-car garage versus a 1. Like I said, you go like kind of this to your front doors from your neighbor, and once you get inside, it just feels like a narrow single family. I talked about the villas a lot, like in 2020, 2021. These are priced at $399, $419. The ones at Windward down in Waterside were priced at about $365, $375. I was speccing people out with like extended patios, and there was many of those that sold in the last phase of Windward in the 500s. So just food for thought. Multiple single family options. I don't want to, so you're going to have, many 2 stories, 1 stories, really everything. There's 2 bedrooms, there's 2-car garage, there's 3-car garage. The one thing here is I know a lot of people really like the coastal collection, including myself, which includes the Kiowa and the Savannah 2. They're not going the coastal in here, but they are doing the Cove collection, which includes the Sea Mist, the Sea Star, the Bright Meadow, Endless Summer. So a lot of the stuff you've seen at Canoe Creek, Grand Palm, stuff like that. But the important thing to know here is you have, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You have almost 20 floor plans in the single family collections. The most expensive base price in the entire thing is $570K. So that's the biggest difference here. It's not like there's 1 or 2 that may work. There's a bunch that may work. And there's different widths, there's different floor plan styles, everything. So you have 1 kid, you have 4 kids. This could all be interesting here, and it's all not $1 million, even with upgrades. And lastly, when it comes to amenities at Palm Grove with Neal, nice and normal amenities. This is how I'd sum it up, which is most of the Neal communities I've seen, except for like unique stuff like Grand Palm. So pool, of course, fitness center. There's like a turf area, cornhole, shuffleboard, workout like yoga lawn kind of thing. Clubhouse, community center, park. No restaurant here. And that's why I harped on it so much about the the other communities because, again, that's a lot of people really enjoy that, and that is not an average Joe kind of amenity. But they always do a really nice job. This is like if you're moving from out of state, Neal makes it feel like you're in Florida. Very coastal elevations. They have a lot. You can do Mediterranean and all that too, but they're like bright, airy, coastal vibe to them, and they always look lovely when they're all built out, the whole community. They do a good job with it. School-wise, just because I talked about the families, you're going to be at Gene Witt Elementary, Carlos Hale, I think 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Carlos Hale is the middle school. And then this one actually crosses to Parish Community High School, which is a 6 out of 10. And just food for thought, Lakewood Ranch is a 7 out of 10, so it's not like Lakewood's a 10 and Parish is a 6, but something to consider, and that'll wrap number 3. All right, and my 4th community on the list, and my final community about the Sarasota, Florida General Metro, we are gonna head south and talk Palmera. So why I like this for 2025, one of the main reasons is that, so this is based in that Wellen Park area I mentioned, and you have 2 districts, the West Villages and the Playmore District, that evolved over a certain period of time. So this was a bunch of new construction, master plan in a way, not just new communities like Beachwalk, a bunch in a row with communal amenity environment that are 18 minutes or less one way to 4 different beaches. That is rare in the state of Florida. It looks like you have a lot of options, but if you actually come in today as a buyer and you start to whittle them down and say what's currently available, like if I go through the list, you can kind of alienate most of them for a lot of people's criteria. And Palmera pops up in an interesting solution to that void, in my opinion. So like, for instance, Grand Place still available today. It's 42 luxury, custom, low amenity homes by Sam Rogers, right? That's a niche community. Renaissance with Mattamy is the old realm, limited opportunities. It's not in the Playmore District. It's in the West Villages District, almost completely done building. Boca Royale, it's in Englewood. It's unique, but it's a niche golf community. Mostly Neal communities. Wisteria is another Neal community, which came out mostly spec homes, all small Neal collection that they designed for you. Last opportunity phase out building. Lakespur is an interesting one. It's Lennar, Mattamy, Pulte, some affordability, some family friendly stuff there. Antigua was Lennar, and it was hyper affordability, low amenity environment as well. Grand Palm, Neal building, I mean, it's been building over 10 years now in that other district. The West Village is not the Playmore. Sunstone's Mattamy, both of the new golf communities in here are Lennar communities. So if that doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. The 55 and up in here, Brightmoor is 100% Mattamy. That's either for you or it's not, but it is age restricted. Avelina was Neal, 96 total homes. You see, like, you think you have 12, 15 neighborhoods at your disposal. Most people's criteria when they start to whittle it down isn't that exactly. Well, Palmera pops up, and what it does a couple things. One, it offers that, again, like Beachwalk, but now in Wellen Park, it offers the real amenities that people are seeking. I'll talk about in the last section, that without having to tie yourself to golf and a certain builder that you may not want because you want amenities and golf, and without having to tie yourself to age restricted. That's one. 2, they came out with a really interesting mix of builders here that I haven't seen. It's a peacock in all sorts. So you have David Weekley with Homes by Town, with ICI, MI, Mattamy, and Neal communities. So it's a smattering platter of what a lot of people really like. So this one is one of the best shots where the people that want to go like real like bougie waterside kind of house, or they want to go like a lot of the communities I've talked about so far, you got a little bit of all of that in here. And I have not seen these builders combine into one neighborhood. So it is just help everything, right? It'll help a lot of people that enjoy all the things about the community, but the builder would have kicked them out of that conversation. It allows them to solve that problem. But it also allows where, I mean, it's better for everybody if there's 5 different builders building all their different kind of home types in one neighborhood. Just the elevations, the aesthetics, the colors, the way that neighborhood's going to look. It's not going to look like it was just platted out, just flat, boring new construction. So I think property value wise, like that can't hurt the unique factor to it. So that's what I'd say about the why. Okay, so locationally you are in the newer side of Wellen Park and you're actually pretty far south. What that's going to give you is 3.5 miles one way to downtown Wellen, that main shopping district area. This one is going to put you about 12 miles one way from Venice Island, which is like the historic main downtown Venice. Venice Beach, Casperson Beach, the Shark's Tooth capital of the world. Burrowheart Beach is the only dog beach in the county. That's all there. This one actually is parallel to Manasota Key Beach, so it's kind of parallel to Beachwalk, my #1 community. It's just the driving route makes it 11 miles, but if you could just go straight over right now in the current time, it would be much, much shorter, which we'll try to show here, but interesting overall as far as just access to Sarasota stuff. All right, when it comes to the homes here at Palmera, you're gonna have kind of a little something for everyone, perspectively speaking, of course. And the best thing to do here would be use examples of what was already built in Sarasota. Like I said, it's literally like they grabbed a bunch of puzzle pieces and put them together. So for instance, like they built Lake House Cove with Homes by Town, and now Homes by Town is over at Shellstone as well. Well, they're building the Tideland in here, which was one of the most popular models by far. It had kind of the inset garage, it had the 2-story loft area. People love that one. The Islander from that same thing. So you could kind of, the Outrigger, these were like models that were on their front row originally. So you could do that here with Homes by Town. And Homes by Town gives you that real coastal luxury aesthetic to it. I liken it to the closest thing you could do to custom building without it. Like it's like a Toll Brothers, Coulter Homes kind of thing. They are doing the townhomes from MI. So Nautique in Lakewood Ranch, Sweetwater. A lot of people really like that with, especially Nautique at Waterside. You could do that. David Weekley's building homes that you've maybe previously found in Fox Trace or maybe Vistera of Venice or parts of Tampa. Matamy's building townhomes in here. You have villas, single family, and townhomes. ICI adds like a whole nother really unique aesthetic. I've not seen a lot of ICI. I think they're in Sweetwater as well. That might be ISA. But I haven't seen a ton of them around this particular area. But they're building homes that look like they're kind of from, like they remind me more of like a Texas or the Carolinas a little bit. So like I said, it's just, I think it's interesting. I mean, the Weatherly's in here with Homes by Town too, which was like, they basically their entire model row in the front, those 4 original models at Lake House Cove here. They have something that could satiate most of the communities that you're looking at Lakewood Ranch. We'll have a snippet of it here, which is probably their biggest value. And lastly, as promised, with amenities on that upper tier kind of clubhouse living style, clubhouse, gathering lawn, there's on-site dining here, golf simulator, fitness center, there is pickleball. What else? They're gonna have resort style pool, of course, splash pad here. So you're gonna be the mix of really empty nester and family friendly combination here. They have a playground in here as well. That's probably all that's meaningful at the moment, but I think that in addition to Wellen Park, which Wellen Park really came out originally with like basically the town as the amenities. They really played hard this card of a no frills amenity environment. So they went boutique with it. And some of these original communities that came out have like a $300-$400 HOA a month and have no amenities. So I feel like that worked a little bit in 2021, but was met with some resistance. And so they're swinging back in amenities now. And this is one of the best examples of it. All right, on to number 5 on the list, we're gonna head south to the Naples-Fort Myers Metro and talk about a community called Valencia Harbor. So Valencia is the 55 and up arm, the active adult living brand of GL Homes. GL Homes, if you're not familiar, they're coming a lot more to this area in the last few years. We've seen them on the East Coast, we've seen them playing around Tampa Bay quite a bit in North Tampa and like the eastern suburbs, and then not much in Sarasota, but I think this is probably your closest competitor to the resort style living of Del Webb, and it adds a lot of perspective, affordability, more variety, just abundance in general, which always helps an out-of-state buyer. Now, when it comes to this part of Fort Myers, I think strategic location, you're north of Colonial, you're east of 75, 5 minutes from the river, 10 minutes from Manatee Park, and affordable, but inland retirement in this area has always been a thing, but it's really becoming in vogue lately. We've seen Del Webb play a lot in the northeastern Fort Myers. Neil's out there. If you've seen anything about what Babcock Ranch has been doing in that Punta Gorda area, these are the areas that got really popular during the last few storms because people are like, you know, if I'm 15, 20 miles east and I can still access Sanibel Island and Captiva and Fort Myers Beach and all of that, you know, Babcock Ranch it's a complete like sustainable like electricity and everything, solar fields and everything. It's actually done by the power company FP&L, but I don't think they lost electricity or water at all during the really bad hurricane that hit the northern Fort Myers area a few years back. So I've seen a lot of things migrate in this way, and I think Valencia Harbor, which is coming soon, will be a nice little additive to that. So when it comes to location, I've kind of already beat that up a little bit, but just to give you a rounded out perspective, this North Fort Myers area is going to put you not only close to like, you really want to like see if you enjoy the river and the Cape Coral area and all that lifestyle has to offer, because then you're just kind of a happy medium of a lot of the stuff that both Sarasota and Naples has to offer because of your inland location. So you're going to be 45 miles one way to Captiva and Sanibel. You're going to also be, about the similar distance to the downtown Naples area, which is actually pretty far south in town, and Marco Island sits right below that. Of course, you have a bunch of shops in like Estero and Bonita and all that kind of stuff as well, but if we're just talking the towns. And then you're about 50 miles one way from the southern Venice Wellen Park area as well, so you kind of have relative access to all that kind of thing, but you're not on top of any of it. But what's going to come with that is things you can't get elsewhere, maybe new construction where it wasn't at those same price points, resort-style amenities, things like that. So you want to look at that trade-off here. And lastly, when it comes to both homes and amenities, you're going to be at the interest list level here as far as timing, because this one's brand new. So it's something to keep on your radar if you're looking in the next 7 to 12 months or so. Starting price point is going to be around 300s. This should be 100% single family homes with room for optional pools is the way they're going to roll it out. A lot of GL and Valencia, again, floating around north. If you look at like the Wesley Chapel area as like a landmark on a map, the eastern part of Tampa Bay, the other Valencias they've done around the Naples, Fort Myers, Lee, Collier County area, and also the East Coast. That would be a great example to see what kind of homes you're going to get here. They do very similar revs over and over and over. Amenity-wise, because you have that active adult living brand, clubhouse, resort-style pool, fitness center, get the commonalities here. They're going to have pickleball and tennis here, and on-site dining, including like a social director, which a lot of these communities have someone that's full-time job is to plan activities. So if you're not familiar with that, that's a big Florida thing. So, but all in all, should be really interesting. And of course, if you reach out, we could kind of keep you in the know. All right, number 6 on the list, we're going to head a little further south to Bonita Springs and talk about a community called Bonita Del Sol that's really, really interesting for multiple reasons, and you kind of know the value if you just name the facts, basically, because this one's all in the location. Brand new construction community built by Pulte. You are west of Tamiami Trail, which is US 41. So if you ever heard of the west of the trail thing, the reason that's important because if it's basically the coastal interstate. So you have I-75, it's probably opposite camera here, but I-75 on the east, US 41 is closer to the coast, and basically all the roads grid back and forth between the two. Tamiami Trail, if you're west of it, you're basically as close as you can be to the water and the beach. So it's a lot of times it's bay to beach with the intercoastal without being on it. So it's the closest strip of mainland without being on the beach, which is probably the preferential one because you can go east to the stuff and you can go west to the water versus committing to either one. It's not that common. You'd have new construction placed within it because that's where that area was first developed, right? So this one is inside the interstate. Or inside 41 rather, it's 7 miles one way to the beach, new construction, no CDD. Top of all of that, so that's amazing, but on top of all of that is Bonita Springs to me is just a fantastic happy medium. I've been talking about northern Naples and Bonita over the last few weeks especially, about it being, if you move to the Naples area and you're like, you think of that proper Naples if you're from out of state a lot of times, the one that's really close to downtown, which is actually really far south in town. So one, it's a commitment because of the location, just above Marco Island, but also it's the 1% of 1% as far as like price and all that kind of stuff. It's availability, the like. What you probably want if you're going to be in this area and you're going to choose this over Sarasota is you want to be in between. Is you want access to go north and south. And you're not only inside 41 here, I won't get crazy here, but you're not only inside 41, but you're also very close to it. So you're less than a mile inside of it. So you can hop over to US 41, you can shoot to Estero, and all that has to offer. You can shoot south to Naples, and in either direction, you're probably a 7 to 14 mile differential. So you really have access to the entire town is what you want, but in 7 miles, you're at Barefoot Beach, and you have 248 chances to buy a home that's new construction as well within that realm. So I think that's pretty ideal. Okay, since we've already kind of dwarfed location in the Why It Matters section, let's just hop to homes. So I mentioned there's only 248 planned homes here, but just because it's rare to carve out this size land in this spot. So I thought originally they were gonna come out with like pretty limited amount of home types in each collection or whatever, floor plans rather, when they really didn't. So there's actually quite a big variety for how many homes there are. So across only 248 options, there's 15 different designs. And if you remember what I talked about with similar brands, because this is Pulte again, right? So now we have 3, I think, on the list with Pulte. I think every other neighborhood had 16. So it's not materially different. Only 3 home collections that are spread across, but they're just dropping the villa. So 3 single family home collections. They start in the 400s on base price up to just under 900 base price. You're gonna have people that are in the 1.2 million range as well. 1,400 square feet to like 4,300 square feet here. So to get that 7 miles from the beach, really interesting at this price point. And across the 15 floor plans, you're going to have basically everything, right? You're going to have 3-car garages. You're going to have the bay window front elevations that are interesting. You're going to have 2 stories, Mediterranean, coastal, farmhouse. They really have something for everyone. So I like what they did there personally. Okay, and lastly, when it comes to amenities in this community, you're gonna be modest, I would say. So community pool, normal, no frills amenities, because they using more for the homes than the amenities, which I think adds to that. Let me talk about geography a little bit, because that's an amenity of this one. 2 miles to downtown Bonita Springs, 4 miles Coconut Point, 8.5 to Miramar Outlets, 100 plus shops in that one. You have already mentioned the beach, 2 miles to Imperial River, and then 12 miles to Gulf Coast Town Center. So that's going to be like Red Robin, P.F. Chang's, Pinchers, 100 plus stores, including Target, these kind of things as well. So this gives you a real suburban escape that's coastal. That is harder to find in Sarasota, this close to the beach. One of the benefits of the in-between Naples and northern and Cape Coral is how close you can stay to the coast here with this kind of price point, and that would be a benefit of going south. Okay, community number 7 on the list, and as we wrap up our Naples-Fort Myers section before we move on to Tampa Bay to finish off the video, I want to give you another GL Homes option and talk about Valencia Sky. So basically, if you liked a lot of what I said about the 55 and up arm that's in the northern Fort Myers area of GL Homes, this gives you a Naples version. So below Bonita Springs, you're gonna have access to basically downtown Naples, kind of the quintessential retirement of where Naples really excels. Where Naples especially excels as far as in a unique way is really their downtown, 5th, 3rd, Naples Pier, like that part of this area is what you picture, what you see online, like the dream kind of lifestyle. This would give you the new construction, like amazing amenity rich 55 and up arm just east of all of that, and still very similar access to what I said about Bonita. So this isn't right on top of downtown Naples, so you can shoot to Bonita, Estera, Vanderbilt Beach, Naples Pier, downtown Naples, and the like. Okay, when it comes to the homes here at Valencia Sky, you're gonna have a pretty conservative offering. It's a really urban location kind of play. 6 total floor plans, 1,800 to 2,700 square feet, no 3-car garages, only 2. 2 to 3 bedrooms, classic Florida kind of homes, $640 to about $800,000. They include your maintenance of your amenities in the HOA. They include, there's no CDD here, which is nice, and they include all front and rear lawn maintenance. So, if you're a part-time resident, if you're a second home, or even a homestead, and you really like what Naples is, but you don't need this like 4,000 square foot maintenance-ridden environment, then this could be really interesting. And lastly, with amenities, I would say they went the opposite of conservative. So you're gonna have the classic Valencia Florida lifestyle and the 2025 brand new version. Clubhouse, multiple pools, pickleball, tennis, expansive gym. You have restaurant and bar in here, which is nice, sports lounge, and a large event hall to boot. Okay, let's finish off our 2025 list with 3 communities within the Tampa Bay, Florida region. I think Tampa Bay is interesting not only within Southwest Florida itself, but also the state as a whole. I think it's the best big city the state has to offer when it comes to location and just kind of the size, population, vibe of the place for all the variety it has to offer. I would prefer it over Orlando, Jacksonville, Miami if you made me choose. And you have access to all of those within 3 to 4 hours anyway. So if you had to pick one, I think it's a better homestead. Number 8 on the list, which is the first one in Tampa Bay, is unique, and it's called Montrose at Innisbrook. So I'm going to walk through the location of the homes and the amenities a little bit more per the rest of this video, but where this one's interesting is that it's located in a town called Palm Harbor. And Tampa Bay, albeit, is the big city of Southwest Florida, like I mentioned, but Palm Harbor is the small town part of Tampa Bay. It's the old Florida part. So this area gets you so far north that you're actually above the northernmost tip of the Barrier Islands. So you're above Clearwater Beach. So it gets you into this like under commercialized, quaint throwback district, but it's located on one of the most world-renowned PGA golf stop resorts that exist. So you have crazy amenities. You have a way more similar vibe to like a Naples of Tampa Bay than anything, but then you have the entire large city, all of the sporting events, the entertainment, everything at your fingertips. So it's kind of like if you dropped to Sarasota, Naples inside Tampa Bay. It's that section. So it's a little bit of the best of both worlds if you think these are the best of both of your worlds, if that makes sense. A very wordy way of saying it. So that's why I like this one for 2025. Okay, on to the homes and the floor plans. Another thing I really like here is that this is fully built by Toll Brothers. Talked about them a lot in the past, but I have built 2 Toll Brothers homes personally. They are very elegant for not being a custom home. A custom home is overkill for a lot of people, especially relocating. I mean, you're picking every little thing Pinterest board style. Most people don't necessarily need that, but to drop from that level to like a mid-level builder is too far for a lot of people. And Toll Brothers just builds a really classy, elegant home. They have a lot of different options, and they just do a little bit more for you. Here they're gonna have one townhome collection with 4 different floor plans within it, and they're actually pretty big. I mean, 2,100 to 2,300 square feet, and they start probably right around 600K, upper fives. Then they're gonna have 2 single family collections in here. Probably a lot of floor plans that you've seen something similar to, 1-story, 2-story, 2,200 to 4,000 square feet. But the smallest home in those collections is 2,200, like across the board. Their bigger collection, the smallest home is about 2,800 square feet. So they're pretty good sized homes for this area especially. Because again, Palm Harbor, Dunedin, Safety Harbor, these areas are known for lack of new construction. And so you're buying a lot of historic homes that are smaller. And then even if you redo them, you don't have a lot of this land to do this kind of things. Now with comes the amenities I'm about to mention here in a second is, again, townhomes start in the upper 5s. Second home collection starts in the upper 800s, and then third home collection starts about $1 million. And then again, a lot of these are base prices, so just account for that, the percentages I mentioned earlier in the video. But all in all, I think a really, really nice offering, combined with an area that would be, in a few years, I don't know if there'll be a road to getting new construction in. And lastly comes the amenities. This is the real flavor here, and maybe I'll do a separate video at a later point on Innisbrook itself, but let me try to rattle these off a bit. So 3 18-hole championship level golf courses and practice facilities. There's a private tennis facility, pickleball courts, racquetball. You have numerous on-site dining, right? Because this is a resort style golf community. 6 heated swimming pools, you have fitness center, of course, yoga, walking trails, a lot of lakes, a lot of preserves. It's a beautiful kind of like classic looking area to me. I've golfed, so my background's in economics, and I worked for a bunch of the big electronic manufacturing companies like J-Bills in St. Pete, J-B-I-L. Eaton has a presence there, and then I worked for some other odds and ends in Tampa, but because of that, like this golf culture was really big. So I think I've golfed 3 of the 4 courses there. And I think they still host the Valspar Open there maybe, and I've been to that a couple times as well, but it's a beautiful course. But just beautiful infrastructure overall, area I really like, and just additional value of anything I can think of. So you're gonna be, at this community, you'll be 8 miles one way from downtown Dunedin, which has a really nice, kind of cool, they almost have like a little like brewery tour down there now, but it's a cool, really friendly downtown. 15 miles one way from Clearwater Beach. You have Honeymoon Island, Caladesi over there as well. You're about 25 miles one way from downtown St. Pete, which is actually pretty far south, and it's on the bay. And this one floats a little closer to the Gulf. You are 30 miles one way from downtown Tampa, and you're 20 miles one way from Tampa International Airport. So to have this place, if you've ever been here in person, like this kind of like small little pocket with access to that, that's the unicorn of it all. All right, number 9 on my list is a community called Victoria Lakes. And this one is located on the western side of inland Tampa Bay in Hillsborough County. What I like about the location, and in general, but where I see the most value, is you have a new construction community built in an area where you can't find a lot of new construction right now. Tampa Bay, because it's so big, you have the 3 counties, it's a little bit more of eye of the beholder value than Sarasota and Naples. Sarasota and Naples, you go west, you get downtown. Their downtowns are on the coast, and the beaches and the bay are there as well. So you go west, you get it, all the value is sprung on the back of that, mostly east. Tampa, however, you have downtown Tampa, and South Tampa and the airport and all that. It's pretty far inland. And then if you want to live at the beach, it's a separate county, Pinellas County mostly, a little bit of Pasco, but that's the coastal county. Downtown St. Pete's not even on the coast, so that's in between. So downtown St. Pete's on the bay, and then you have the Gulf Beach. So people will choose what they deem the most important, but it's not as clear cut. The suburbs are similar. Basically, the coastal county has no suburbs as you traditionally think of them. They're more bungalow-based boroughs. But if you go inland, you can actually go 3 directions because of just the size of it, right? So the sexiest kid on the block right now is probably just to go north to Wesley Chapel. There was Tampa Palms, then Wesley Chapel, and you have Land O'Lakes and Lutz. It was just where it was like it was the closest to like a Lakewood Ranch. They had the most land. It's not as turnkey, but they can do large master plan concepts. East was the other direction, a lot of affordability, so it's go even further from the beach. That's Brandon, then Riverview, a little bit of Apollo Beach. It starts to work its way down, and what that gives you is it gives you bay access, but also one of the easiest commutes to town. Well, the other direction is go west. And one of the areas that really came to prominence in that conversation was West Chase. The benefit of going west is you're in between. So unlike going east where you get further from the beach, still decent to the commuting districts of town, if you go west, you get in between kind of Clearwater Beach and downtown Tampa. That's the name of the game, but it's also very mature. So West Chase has been built out. Victoria Lakes pops in and hits you in that Northdale Citrus Park area. It's the western suburbs, new construction, Taylor Morrison, large homes. It could give a really great option to families and empty nesters alike. So that's why I like it for 2025. Okay, and I'm gonna finish this one just by bundling homes and amenities because it's not that unusual. So again, Taylor Morrison, I think they do a pretty good job at the way they orient floor plans for the prices in the different home collections. They're pretty elegant. They're usually pretty Mediterranean looking, but I like the interior floor plans a lot. From large sizes to small, they do them well, and a lot of builders don't necessarily. A lot of builders do like that flagship collection of 3,000 to 4,000 square feet nice because it's easier, but when they go smaller it gets boxier from the kitchen to the bedrooms and living room and stuff, and people don't like it. In Florida especially, they're looking for the openness. Again, they're large here, so they start at about $800,000, but you get 4 to 7 bedrooms, 3 to 5.5 baths. They go 3,000 to 5,000 square feet. This is not typical Florida. This is more of like a Texas kind of vibe. 2 to 3 car garage, 1 to 2 stories. It's located in Odessa. Odessa is kind of a in between rural and city part of Tampa. It's like this little unique pocket. They're embracing that. Fishing dock, grassy areas, mature landscaping, that whole deal. So I think that's interesting. And then amenity-wise, dog park, gated, lake, open space, scenic views is what they list. So nothing crazy there, but I think this is location, size for family, new construction combination would be the best way to look at it. Okay, my 10th and final one for my 2025 list and my 3rd and final one for the Tampa Bay area is called Two Rivers. So this one is a real peacock of sorts. That's why I want to finish here. It would be a fantastic way to learn about Tampa and Southwest Florida in one kind of shebang. Even if this isn't the community of choice, it'd be a great learning experience just because there's so much variety going on here. And it's very new. So I saw they were building a community called Sunbridge in Central Florida. It's a little further ahead than this one, I believe. Sunbridge is by the developers of Lake Nona. So it's east of downtown Orlando. And Sunbridge's whole concept, so I got on my radar, was really trying to esoterically combine old Florida. Like kids get outside and play, mature landscaping. In the world of like so much development right now where everything's going smaller, builder friendly, like small yards, small homes, narrow homes, and a lot of them at one time in dense areas. People I've found are trying to like figure out if there's an alternative. You know, this is where Ocala, it becomes popular, not only for cost, but it's horse country. The villages where that's located, it's a kind of similar thing where you get a lot of Polk County, like Polk County, the Lakeland area is one of the fastest growing by percentage net migration areas in the entire state of Florida because it falls in this category of where not only cost, but not everybody wants Lakewood Ranch or Seaside or these kind of areas. Well, Sunbridge did that. That's what Two Rivers is doing in Tampa, in my opinion. So it's got a lot going on. You basically have 6,000 planned residential units that sit like just north of the Wesley Chapel area. I built a house in Wesley Chapel in 2015. I've since sold it, but in Union Park. And Union Park was one of the first developments by Metro Places. Metro Places, let's unwind here, is the one that really headed up all the freshwater lagoons in the area. And they went in these inland areas and you were like, the commute's a little rough. I mean, if you're going to downtown Tampa, I was going to Rocky Point a lot. But if you are independent, you work from home, even if it's not a daily commute, or you even don't mind an hour commute, depending on what your perspective is, when you come home, you can get like the full breadth of land and infrastructure that allows like a lot of advantages to a home buyer. So let that rest there. 6,000 planned developments, they're gonna spread it across like 12 to 13, 14 different villages. So you're gonna have a lot of variety within that. And there's a couple things going on with that. One, builder-wise, you're gonna have a lot of options and a lot of economics to those options. So I'm gonna rattle them off. Casa Fresca, D.R. Horton, Lennar, these are all really, really affordable builders. D.R. Horton and Lennar are the number one and two in volume sales in the United States for a new construction building, and they're inventory spec building first. So they're building whether you're coming or not. They're using economies of scale. It's low design options, controlled materials, and you get a cost advantage for that trade-off. Homes by West Bay goes in and out of mid to upper, like in between, like kind of custom, like they float in and out of that like Homes by Town Toll Brothers land occasionally. A lot of times in Tampa, they're at like the Pulte, David Weekley level. MI Homes, William Ryan Homes is in here, Park Square, Pulte. Coming soon, that's not already fully out, is like Kinward Living. I'm not familiar with them personally. Meritage and Taylor Morrison, which are the same players on the block a lot of the times. Now, amenity-wise, what's really interesting here, I'm just gonna get my notes back here, but so across those, okay, 6,000 units, right? Then they're in these separate villages, what they're called a lot here, which is these mini neighborhoods that all can share communal amenities, kind of. They have these private amenity centers, because it's very convoluted if you look at their website. It feels like it's all in play. But they have these private amenity centers that are kind of for each village. So it's not complete crossover. I have seen within Texas and some other areas that there is complete crossover of the amenities of all the villages. This one's not. So you maybe have the best of both worlds because you come home to your town center or whatever it's called where you live. But and then outside of that, though, they have something I don't know if I've seen before. It's called the Landing at Two Rivers. It's a private, independently owned resort social club. So I've seen a lot of the private owned golf clubs, and that's, you know, some people like it, some people don't, right? It's the benefit of it being private is sometimes there's a little bit more money that can like fund it. Sometimes it goes the other direction because it can also be sold to another party. And I've seen that go good and bad depending on who it is. But if it's a deeded membership, then non-members a lot of times don't have any access to it. This one is going to basically give membership to every single village member. So you kind of have deeded access. I mean, it comes at a cost, but you have this deeded ability to go into this private social club. That private social club is going to have a fitness clubhouse, a large lagoon-style pool, lap pools, playgrounds, pickleball, tennis courts. Now, you might have some of this in your own village too, but not necessarily guaranteed. And then this is a real place to come together for a poolside bar, a cocktail, eat with your neighbors. It lets you like kind of choose to do that. So if you've ever been around that vibe, that's what this neighborhood's really going to represent. It's a good way of saying it. But it's also going to give access to people from outside the community with HOA approval as well. Something to really look at. This video can't vet all of this out 100%, but please reach out if you're interested in it. But I do think it'd be a cool way to discover the northern suburbs of Tampa and multiple builders at one time that you'll see in almost every other place you go as you continue your journey. Okay, folks, that is a wrap for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel, The Florida Relocation Guide here. We have a lot planned for the balance of the year. We're going to try to go 2 days a week, Sundays and Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern for the balance of the year, which should give us a lot of great content up at this level and down at this level, depending on where you are in your current search. That's the best way to see what's coming next by subscribing. Beyond that, a couple housekeeping items. 30-day email list, one email every 30 days. That sign up is in the description box below. No spam. It's literally the only email that I handwrite once a month. We also have a brand new 2025 Sarasota, Florida Relocation Guide. That'd be a great kind of updated list. It not only includes communities, but it's things to do, places to eat, places to stay when you come in town, other areas to visit, how far they are from Florida if you relocate here, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's a really nice addition to the ecosystem. And then lastly, if I can assist you in any way in the real estate marketing across the entire state of Florida, especially the Southwest Florida area, if you resonate with these videos, please consider reaching out. All my contact information of email, phone number, and website is below. I'd love to help you in any way I can. You can call, text, schedule a call via Calendly or whatever may you see fit. But that's a really nice thing to do if you're consuming these videos, is just simply you need to customize it to yourself. And if you call and say, I live here, I'm thinking about doing this, I've done this so far, I'm thinking about this timeline, then you can really narrow, particularly that would be more concise than these evergreen videos. So please consider doing that if you like anything that I've been saying over the last few minutes. And most importantly, thank you guys so much for taking any time to consume my content. We'll see you on the next one.